Here is the second video in our course on Latin indirect statement. In this video, I will talk about infinitives. We should all know what an infinitive is. It is the to part of a verb. It is the part of the verb unbounded by considerations of time and person. Here are some examples of infinitives in English. I like to sing. I am able to dance. I have decided to dye my hair green. These are present active infinitives. We tend to call them the infinitive, but there are others in English, quite a few others in English, all of which get used now and again, but not very often. Here are some examples. I would like to have learned Greek when I was 2. A true statement. But notice that I'm using a past active infinitive, to have learned. Don't use that very often. And if I want to use a future infinitive, why, I do struggle to find examples. This is the best I can think of. I would like to be about to start. Bit of a mouthful, that. You wouldn't say that in English. I suppose it makes sense, but it just isn't something that we would say very often. We would think of something else. So we do have a wide range of infinitives in English. Indeed, we probably have just as many as Latin. I'm sure that we have just as many as Greek, but we don't use them very often because we don't need to. We use the that construction for indirect statement, and that takes most of the pressure off the infinitives. We just don't use accusative and infinitive constructions very often. But Latin has 6 infinitives, and because of the Latin insistence, in its written form at least, on the accusative and infinitive construction, all of these infinitives get used, and they get used a lot. Here they are. You have the present active infinitive, portare, to carry. You have the present passive infinitive, portari, to be carried. You have the perfect active infinitive, portavisse, to have carried. You have the perfect passive infinitive, portatum esse, to have been carried. You have the future active infinitive, portaturum esse, to be about to carry. And a rather exotic one for us, you have the future passive infinitive, portatum iri, to be about to be carried. Indeed, portatum iri, a strange construction. It's made up of the perfect passive participle and the passive infinitive of to go. I don't know how to say that in English, but in Latin it's iri. But there you have them. Those are the infinitives in Latin. The last of these, portatum iri, you don't need to worry about that if you're doing Common Entrance or GCSE Latin. But if you're doing A-level, you need to know it. And if you want to read unadapted Latin texts, you certainly need to know it. You won't see it very often, but you will see it. And so there they are. The 6 Latin infinitives, or perhaps the 6 main Latin infinitives, because there are others, but these are the ones that you are most likely to encounter.